Hello and welcome to the series of recordings that I do. I am Professor Michael P. Boardway, licensed architect, credentialed professor, and helping the candidates prepare for the licensing exam, probably close to 30 years of experience, for the ARE's Architectural Registration Exam by NCARB, as well as the California Supplemental Exam. And also, I do 10 professional subjects for individuals practicing architecture, anywhere from the novice up to someone that has 50 some odd years experience in architecture. All right. This series of recordings will be focusing on what we call the California Supplemental Exam. And there's a little history to this exam. It's offered by CAB, California Architectural Board. And it started getting a little more challenging back in the early 90s. I mean, when I took the exam, I took 2 projects and we sat down and had a chat, you passed, and that was it. It's about a 99.9% passing rate, And then after that, they started bringing out what it was called, we called it the California Oral Exam, where you went up in front of, a panel of 3 pretty experienced licensed architects, and they asked you questions because they've been briefed by CAB and how to do that, and then you answer and they grade you, and then you get your grade in a couple of weeks and so on. And that was a very challenging psychological exam because it was all about presentation, it was about mental recall, and all of that as well. But since then, they've come out with what is called the written exam. And this can be now taken anywhere across the United States or other parts of the world. You don't have to fly to California to take the oral exam anymore. That's done. So it's a matter of preparing properly, of course, and then making a schedule appointment with the local Prometric Center or whoever tests you there in that city, and going in and take the exam. All right. The exam basically is more theoretical than realistic. That's why I tell candidates to try to keep yourself out of the exam as much as possible. It's like just focus on where the questions are coming from, and that's where you need to go with the answer, And it's about, it is about California specific, but some candidates, I hear the common question, this exam is about half of it is about California. The other half is how to stay out of trouble, how to communicate properly and document properly, what to say, what not to say, and to whom and when, and all of that, and how to run a project and how to run a practice, an office, and so on, and so that's the other half of the exam. But but the exam is based on 2 areas for the most part. We call it the reading or reference material that CAB will give you, and then that list, and then also there's the test plan, which are 4 main categories, and then 79 subcategories now, and it changes over time. About every 3 or 4 years it changes, it seems. But I'm at a point where it's like, well, how many different ways can they ask the same question? Which kind of leads me into my way of teaching, which is, well, let's just learn all of the aspects of this exam and what you're tested on. And then whatever format they give you, whether it's jumping on 1 foot, blindfolded, whatever, you should be able to answer the question, right, correctly. And so we have to go through and take a look at, where CAB is coming from, where the questions are coming from. That's where I need to go with the answer. It is an AIA exam, American Institute of Architect exam, which means we do have to have knowledge of the contracts, pretty much all the contracts. It's not just the A201 and the B102 and B201 and all that. It's a matter of understanding all the series, A, B, C, and so on, all the way down the line, and having that knowledge behind you as well, because if they ask you a question from a A305 about a contractor qualifying themselves or something, well, it's like, well, you didn't study that. Oh my God, they didn't tell me to study that. It's like, so it's a matter of, studying all the AIE contracts. I mean, I'll go through the important ones with you. That's the purpose of this recording, is to kind of focus on all the material, and then and what's the most important things from the material that you're tested on, and then we go from there. So it's a matter of, that's what my booklet is. My booklet is about 300 pages. It's in 3 parts, emailed to you, and it is a highlights of the material you're tested on that I've gone through and marked up based on past questions or more important things of that material. Okay. All right, so this exam, basically, what they tell you on how to prepare, of course, is good to thoroughly read the CSE handbook. Of course, study the test plan, which is the 4 categories, the 79 subcategories at this time, and there's also referring to all the reference material, right? And then and of course you have to put your time in as well in preparing properly. They call it engage in self-directed study, and then examination of the seminars and study guides. CAB won't endorse any organization because they would become liable for doing so. So they just say it's up to you how you want to prepare, on your own, in a group, go to a seminar, tutor. It's like so. It's up to you how you want to prepare. So basically, the taking the exam, the California Supplemental exam, which this recording is focusing on, you go through and you answer about 100 questions. They have different versions as well. We found over the years that there's probably close to, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 different versions to the exam based on the project they give you to review, the scenario, project-specific scenario, and such. But the format of the exam would be normally you go in, you check in, and so on. And I wouldn't take any personal material with you. Just leave it in the car or at home or whatever, laptops and all that. And then they do give you a locker, I believe, if you have any personal material like a purse or a wallet or any of that, and you put it in there, and then you get scanned, and such as well, just like at the airport, And so you go through and then you sit down, and the proctor will get you going on the exam. They'll give you a handout, which is relative to the project or projects that you need to review to answer the first sections of the exam. We call it project-specific exam. Okay, and the format changes over time. Sometimes that might not be given to you toward the end, but normally it's at the beginning because the proctor's there with you and they don't want to interrupt you anymore. So they're not going to stop the exam and give you a project scenario in the middle of it, but you never know. Anyway, so but when you go in, they'll give you a booklet or a booklets, and then basically that is the project that you need to be reviewing. And here comes 30 some odd questions about that. They give you so much time on the screen to answer that section. And if you have extra time, they won't credit that time. You just wait and then you click on going on to the next section, right? Now, is it another project, or do we go into what is called a general category of questions? Okay. So you've answered all the specific questions, and now you're going into a general category of questions, all right? And so we start looking at those. The total questions is about 100. The time frame is about 3 hours or 3.5 hours total taking the exam. Before you leave, you will get your results. You'll know if you passed or not passed. Okay. And then if you didn't pass, like we say, then you have to wait 180 days to take it again. You can apply in the meantime. You don't have to wait for the 180 days to apply. You can apply right away. But you still have to wait for that clock to tick out 6 months or 180 days, and then you can take it again. Okay. Passing rate varies, I'm told, between 50-55%. So the exam, you do have to be pretty well prepared going into this exam. So talking about preparation, and that's kind of where I come in. I've been doing this since I think it's around 1987. So, but the services that my company offer and what I do is I do tutoring, one-on-one, and we can set up a schedule to accommodate both of us. I tutor in the evenings as well as day, if those of you that work during the day and such. No matter where you are, we adjust time schedules and such as well. And then I can do that by Skype, FaceTime, phone, whatever you're comfortable with. My booklet's included in tutoring, and we go into 3 2-hour sessions. The first session will be focusing on maybe the category, test plans, and then the second one would be all the reference material. Then the third 2-hour session, we send you a mock exam, you take it, you send it back to us, and then we discuss the questions and answers on how you did on that exam. Okay, so that kind of is the 3 2-hour sessions, which is like 6 hours of tutoring if you want. You can go beyond that if you want, but that's just like the minimum, that the normal package that we offer. There's a lot of specials we offer as well. I mean, there's coaching. That's another service that I offer. Coaching is laying out a curriculum, suggested material that you need to refer to and review for that week. And I call you at the beginning of the week, half-hour call you at the end of the week, half-hour call, and then see how you're doing, keeping you on track, on focus. That's the purpose of coaching. Don't go much into the material, but any questions, general questions you have, about your test-taking techniques and things of that sort as well. And then we do that for, I think it's like 6 weeks, and then you go in and take the exam, okay? So that's kind of the coaching thing. Sometimes candidates only want that, sometimes they only want tutoring, sometimes they want both, okay. There's also teleconferences where we get a group of 5 on the phone with you as well, and you have to look at the website for all the scheduling on all this as well. But we look at that and get you set up for either conference call, phone, FaceTime, or Skype, Google Hangout. I mean, we'll figure out the program to get all of us on the screen at the same time. We have that capability as well. Okay, so that's teleconferences. Another thing I do basically is, of course, seminars, Southern California and Northern California. And seminars are mostly lecture. Okay, so, I mean, there are some questions and answers, of course, but it's mostly lecture. And then the other thing I do is the workshops. Okay, so there is a workshop popular right now. It's called 3-in-1 workshop, where we do all 3 of those subjects I mentioned earlier in one day. Okay, so we start like at 9 in the morning and go till about 5 or 6 in the evening. And so it's a full day, pretty intense. And that's a 3-in-1, so you can keep an eye out for that one on our website as well. We do them in, again, Southern California and Northern California. Okay, and that's the workshops. But as far as materials go, I've got my booklet that you can just order separately. I've got recordings like this one. I've got also I've done a series of relaxation technique audios. Okay, so for the individuals that have some panic type of thing going on when we go in to take an exam, there is some audios that I've done to help you kind of relax and get focus on that as well. And you can look at the audios, relaxation audios that I've done for exams as well. Okay. My booklet is included in all the tutorings and the coaching. The only thing that's not included in is coaching and consultation. But the booklet's included in the workshops, the seminars, the tutoring. Okay, and you can take a look at that. But any questions you have, just give me a call and or look at our website. The website's MBA Mary Bravo Apple architectural.com. And that can kind of go through all the CSE, California Supplemental Exam information. And then if you have any other questions, just give me a call directly. Be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you.